Welcome viewers to our program today. We have a very special guest with us today to share how God has led and how God provides and how God will see us through even through this crisis that we are in. Welcome to our program.
Thank you.
May you please tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, and your career?
Okay, well, my name's Roger Dunder, and I'm the principal of Maxwell Adventist Academy. I've been a teacher since 1983, if you can believe it. It's a long time. I bet you weren't born. It's way back there. So I've dedicated my life to education. I'm married to my lovely wife, Lynn. We have 5 children and 4 grandchildren.
Wow.
And, we've worked in many different places. I've worked in Indiana, in Tennessee, in Tanzania, in Kenya, in the Philippines, and worked in some other countries too on short-term, Indonesia, Taiwan, China, lots of different places that I've served, some for short-term, but many for long-term. In terms of my reason for being here in Africa at this time, I'm serving now as the principal of Maxwell, as I already mentioned, and dedicating my life to the education of young people. And I might add to their salvation, because that's really what a Seventh-day Adventist school is all about. Strong academics, but ultimately, the work of education and redemption, one of the same. So I don't know if that answers the question very well, but the truth is my work is my life. I don't really see it as a job. I've been doing this with all my energy since 1983. So
That's a long
God
time.
has provided, and He's done miraculous things.
That's really wonderful. Someone once said, if you knew you would have the grandchildren before the children, is that true? Are they that wonderful that you wish you had them before the children?
They are wonderful, and I don't get to spend much time with them, especially now. We were supposed to be able to go on our leave back to the U.S. to see our children and our grandchildren, but now with this pandemic, we are locked down. We're not going anywhere. So, yeah, we miss them, but we still FaceTime, and those types of things. So
I'm
it's
sure
good.
they miss you too.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about Maxwell.
Maxwell Adventist Academy was originally founded in 1947. It was located in downtown Nairobi. That time it was mostly for missionary children. It was small, had a few students, but gradually it evolved. It changed as times changed. There were fewer missionaries, and then more local families decided to send their children, families from surrounding countries. And so Maxwell now has become an international school. We have boarding facilities for grade 7 up through grade 12. So basically, you could say it's boarding for the end of primary education and then secondary education up through grade 12. So we have about, let me think here, we have about 134 total students. Of those that are in the secondary level amount to right at around 100. Maxwell is running a U.S. curriculum, so we run a different calendar. We're running from August up through the beginning of June. That's our school year using our U.S. curriculum. Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful. Now, with this pandemic that we are going through currently, so many organizations have had to lay off employees. Some have had to be on half pay. Some organizations have actually shut down their branch offices in some countries. In Kenya here, we have heard of organizations closing, shops closing, and they are sending workers home. That means there's no income anymore.
Yeah.
And we know some of the students whose parents are part of these organizations that are closing, that are giving half pay because there isn't enough income coming in. There isn't work to be done anymore.
Yeah.
How do you feel that will impact Maxwell, and how will Maxwell carry on its activities? Because students have to pay school fees for
Absolutely.
them to stay in school.
You've raised a very, very serious question, which obviously we have to address. Maxwell undoubtedly will be affected. We are affected. But so far, nobody's laid off. By God's grace, we've been able to press ahead and to maintain. As soon as this pandemic began, when our students left at the middle of March to go home, we immediately switched to online instruction. So all of our teachers are busy. Those support workers that were not teaching, such as deans and a few others that were helping in our program, they've switched to helping with that online program. So everybody is currently working. Nevertheless, we do recognize that families are being impacted, and Maxwell is also impacted financially. For example, when all the students went home, then we have no more boarding students. And normally we get revenue from boarding students, right? So we are not able to charge anymore for the dormitory. We're not able to charge for the food. And not like we made a lot of money on food, but you know, there's a little bit of revenue there. And certainly that revenue supported the cooks and people that provided food in the cafeteria. All of that's now gone. You know, it's like no more revenue there. So we are impacted, but through economization, you know, tightening our belts, being efficient, so far nobody's laid off. And everybody's been able to carry on in terms of having some revenue for their livelihood.
Oh, that's wonderful that everybody still has a job and still has something.
Yeah, even the local support workers, we've been able to sustain them up to this point. You know, God is really good. And when I think about this, I'm reminded of a situation that I was in once where I saw God provide in a miraculous way. So when we think about the future of Maxwell, of course, you know, we are not exempt from the impact of this pandemic. However, I know for a fact that God provides, you know, when you're doing His work, when your purpose is to do His will and to see His mission fulfilled, you can trust in Him. He will provide. I have a story I wanted to share with our listeners that I think will be a great encouragement to you.
Please go ahead. I would like to hear it too.
So, as I mentioned earlier, I worked in Tanzania before. I was a teacher there, and it was at that time, now it's a university, but at that time that school was named Tanzania Adventist Seminary and College at that time. It's now University of Arusha. So at that time, the school was small. We had theology students and business students primarily. And I remember that we had this group of theology students that were so dedicated to spreading the gospel. They really touched my heart because every Thursday they would get on their bicycles and they would ride for miles and miles over the mountain to this small village. And it was a long ways away. And when they would go there, they would give Bible studies in that village, and they would stay there for the whole weekend. Wow. And then come back on Sunday ready for school again. And it really touched me because they did this for week after week, month after month, so dedicated to seeing that those people there knew about the love of God and His plan for them, His salvation. It really touched me. We came to a December holiday time in the school program, and those students came to me and they said, "Mr. Dunder, we need your help." Now, this has been a few years ago. At that time, the school was in a very remote place. It's located, still is located there, just on the boundary of the Arusha National Park. So we used to have elephants that would come to the edge of the campus and break our water lines.
Oh my.
We used to have buffalo that came through the campus. So it was a little bit, this place is remote, okay?
So were the students Tanzanians only, or they were from other places as well?
We had students from Ethiopia, from Kenya, from Tanzania, a couple from Uganda, some from Rwanda, but primarily Tanzanians. So they came to me, and it happened to be that I had the only vehicle on that campus at that time.
Wow.
So they said, we need your help for transportation and for food, because we want to hold an evangelistic series of meetings for that village that we've been visiting all these months and giving Bible studies to. And I thought, and I said, that's really a noble cause. Of course I will help.
For sure.
So there's about 6 guys, okay, that are going to go do this. And they said, now here's what we need. Of course we need transportation, but we need food, we need water, we need kerosene, we need lanterns, all these things, okay? And so I said, okay. So I went to Arusha and I purchased supplies, a lot of supplies. You know, filled the whole truck up with that, and then I delivered them and all these goods to this village there. And they said, now, after a couple of days, we'll need you to come back. We'll need more water, we'll need more food, we'll need... These are students, they're poor. They had very little money.
So were you buying these from your own money or the school's money?
From my own funds. From my own funds. And I guess there's a lesson in that too. Let me go, I'll share some things. So this went on, and the meetings were to go for 2 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks. Every couple of days I have to visit this place. It's a long drive too, all the way to Arusha, buy supplies, then all the way back toward Moshi, the other direction, and then behind this kind of small set of hills there, up in the hills where this village was. So it took, just to make that journey, took about 2 hours.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm doing this every couple of 3 days like that, you know, supplying them with all their needs. We even had to buy those pressure lanterns, you know, the ones you pump up, so they would have light for the meetings. It was quite a lot of money, to be honest with you. So at the end of maybe like close to the end of the first week, they said, Mr. Dunder, we need you to do one more thing. And I said, yeah, what's that? They said, when we finish these series of meetings, we're going to have a baptism. And how nice it would be if we could give these people books. So they wanted Bibles, and they wanted 2 other books that I think Desire of Ages and Great Controversy translated into Swahili to give to these people. So that's like Bibles and 2 other books, you know, for all these people. And I'm thinking, that's quite a lot. Books are not cheap. So you add it all up and you think times 20, or I think it was about 20 people they anticipated would be baptized. I breathed a deep sigh. I said, you know, God is a big God.
Yes.
He can do lots of things. He's not limited. And I know the Bible says, do not grow weary of doing good, right? It says that.
Yes.
But I was feeling the pinch a little bit, because by now I had already spent a lot and I was feeling a little pressed upon. So I thought to myself, let's pray. God can provide money for those books. And they kind of looked at me skeptically and they thought, really? And I said, yeah, let's pray, because God can provide. Well, they said, okay, we'll pray. And so, you know, some days went by. They said, Mr. Dunder, has anything happened? Any money for those books yet? And I said, no, nothing yet, nothing. But by faith, I went to the center that sold the books, and I ordered all of them. And told my wife, brace yourself. There's a possibility we're going to buy these books, but I believe God will provide. And so we continued to pray. And I said, and tell the people to pray too, the ones that are in the meetings. Tell them to pray as well.
Sure.
And so they said, yes, we'll do that. So after a couple more days, Mr. Dunder, has anything happened? Any money? And I said, no, nothing yet. So we came through that week, the last week of the meetings. It was Friday. The conclusion to the meetings was to be on Saturday, on the Sabbath, and then on Sunday, I was to pick all of these people up and bring them home, bring them back to the campus. And that's the time I was to deliver the books. Friday morning, okay, nothing's happened yet, no money. Friday morning, I got a knock on my door. Actually, not a knock. You know, in Tanzania, they say, hodi, hodi. I went to the door, and there stood our nurse practitioner from the small clinic on our campus with a man and a woman, and they all looked very sad. And he said to me, the nurse practitioner said to me, Mr. Dunder, last night these people came all the way through the Arusha National Park on their bicycle with their very sick baby, 2-year-old baby with malaria. And unfortunately, we could not save the baby. The baby has passed away. So could you please drive them home? They're heartbroken. They have a long journey. They're very tired. They haven't slept in probably 2 days. Can you please take them home? So I said, okay, I'll take them home. So we put the bicycle on the carrier above. We wrapped the baby in a blanket, laid it behind, and they got in the car, and we proceeded to pass through the park. Very rough road, very rough road. When we reached close to their place, we're passing through rivers. We're climbing up the mountain. It's on the side of Mount Meru, where they lived.
Okay.
So we're climbing up that mountain, big ravines that we have to straddle with the tires and climb this mountain to go up there to drop them in their place. And I remember when we reached their home, they've said nothing the entire journey. It's been like an hour and a half. They've said not a word. When we reached there, as soon as the mother stepped out of the vehicle, she let out a wail that was so heartbreaking, you know, the pain she was feeling. So they took their child, and it's now time for me to go home. So I turn and I start heading back through Arusha National Park. You know, Arusha National Park has lots of animals. I come around a corner and here's a big herd of buffalo. You know, buffalo are really dangerous.
Yes.
They're mean and they kill people. So I pass this herd of buffalo and I go around the next corner, and to my complete shock and disbelief, sitting on the side of the road is a whole group of tourists.
Oh my.
Tourists, yeah. They're from the UK.
Oh no.
And I'm looking, where is your safari vehicle? And I'm looking around, there is no safari vehicle.
How did they get there?
They're walking.
Oh my.
They said, we thought that we would hike back to the main highway, which is probably 25 kilometers
Oh my goodness.
through wild animals. And I was like, guys, you know, you're crazy. This is dangerous. Just around the corner, there's a big herd of buffalo. I said, you get in. I will carry you back to the highway, which is actually farther than I needed to go for, you know, we actually passed the school and then another 7 kilometers till we reached the national highway. So they got in, and I said, I will carry you all the way to where the buses are passing, because they told me they were going to Arusha.
Okay.
So I carried them all the way down. I dropped them in a place called Usa River. I don't know if anybody's heard of Usa River, but it's a small town.
Yes.
There on the Arusha-Moshi highway, you know. So I dropped them there. I said, okay, here you will catch your bus. It goes to Arusha, and have a lovely rest of your safari. You know, they're on holiday. And I turned around and I headed home. And when I reached the house, it's almost sunset. You know, it's evening now. The whole Friday has been consumed by this endeavor.
Exactly.
So don't forget, I'm coming to the books. I'm not done with this, okay? So the whole Friday has passed, and it's almost sundown. So there I had a small garage. I always put the car in. And so I opened the doors to the garage, and I went to drive the car inside. And as I got behind the steering wheel, I happened to look back to the rear seat, and I saw there a very beautiful camera, an expensive camera, lying on the seat. And I thought, oh no.
The tourists.
The tourists left their camera. They had climbed Mount Meru. This was their lifelong dream for this exotic vacation. And I took it. It had also a nice bag with it. All the rolls of exposed film. This was before digital cameras, you know, so it has all the film, all the rolls are exposed. I realized this is all their memories from this wonderful trip they've taken to Tanzania. I felt really sorry for them. I thought, oh my, what can I do? So I told my wife and children, I said, tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, we haven't been to worship in Arusha for a while. We will attend church in the church headquarters there at Njiro Hill.
Yeah.
We will attend church there tomorrow, and if God wills it, we will drive through Arusha, all over that city, of about, I don't know for sure what the population was that time, but I'm guessing it's close to 1 million people. There's a lot of people in Arusha. We will drive all over that city. We will stop in all the hotels where we think maybe a tourist would want to stay, and we will ask if they've seen these people. And maybe we will find them and we can return their camera.
So did you have a name of one of them?
I had one name.
Okay.
Because on the top of the camera, this gentleman had taken a sharp object, like a knife, and he had scratched his name into the camera.
Oh, okay.
And I still remember that name. If he's watching, I would love to talk to you. His name was Nix, N-I-X, N-I-X, Nix. And I thought to myself, maybe, if God wills, we'll find this person. And so Saturday morning, we rose earlier than normal. We prepared ourselves and we went to Arusha. And we arrived there maybe around 8 o'clock. You know, church service usually starts around, the Sabbath school program starts around 9:30. So we thought, okay, we have about an hour and a half. We will drive all over the city and search. I went to one hotel after the next hotel after the next hotel. I cannot find them. Nobody knows this person. Nobody recognizes a group of about 6 guys like this, 5 or 6. I think there was about 6, maybe even 7. It was quite a group. And nobody had any information. So I told my family, I said, let's make one more circle around the center of the town. Because there are some tourist shops there that sell carvings and things like that. I thought, just by chance, maybe they're walking around there. And so we made a circle around the clock tower. There's a clock tower in the center of Arusha. I drove around that clock tower and I was just exiting the roundabout to go to Njiro because I hadn't found them. And then from the corner of my eye, I saw an Mzungu, a white person walking over there. And so quickly I went around the roundabout again and I came beside him and I recognized it's one of the group.
Wow.
It was one of the group. And so I said to him, sir, I said, I'm looking for one of your group named Nix. He looked at me, he said, that's me.
Oh, wow.
And I said, oh my, might you be looking for this? And I handed him his camera. Oh, you cannot believe how happy he was. Wow. He was so overjoyed.
I can imagine.
Yeah, he said, I am so thankful. He said, you know, I thought we left this on the ground in the park because they were sitting beside the road. He said, I thought when we got in your vehicle, I left it there on the side of the highway, or not highway, it's a small track, you know, in the game park. He said, I thought I left it there. He said, no, actually you left it in the vehicle, and so we've brought it to you. And we talked for a little bit, and he was like so happy. And then he looked, and he said, man, you guys are all dressed up. Yeah. My son was not very old that time, and he was standing, he's about, I would guess he's about 5 years old, and he had a little tie on, you know, and he said, are you going to a wedding? What are you guys doing?
Exactly.
And I said, no, we're going to church. And he got this strange look on his face, and he said, but it's Saturday.
Exactly.
Why are you going to church? Church is tomorrow. I said, no. I said, we're Seventh-day Adventists. We worship on Saturday. And he was, again, surprised. Seventh-day Adventist, who's that? You know. So I witnessed to him a little bit about who we were, and just a small bit about what we believe. And I told him a little bit about Newbold College in the UK. I don't know much about the UK because I haven't visited there much, but I know we have a college there. So
exactly.
Told him just a few things about our work and about the school where I worked. And so I said, well, you know, we better get going. It's about 9:30 now. We need to get to our church service. So I started to leave, and he said, wait. He said, I have to thank you for bringing this camera. And so he said, let me give you some money. And I said, no. I said, no, I won't accept anything. This is just, I just wanted to help, you know, if I could. And God has willed, I found you, and that's all. No payment needed. No, really, I insist. You drove a long way. You helped us a lot. I said, no, I won't accept anything. And we argued for a while. And I flatly refused. He said, well, okay, if you refuse, then fine, but thank you so much. I started to drive away again. Then he said, wait. And I stopped again. And then he came back to the window of the car and he said, if you won't take money, will you let me give to your church?
Oh, wow.
And I thought for just a second, and I said, yes, I remembered the books. And I said, yes, you can give. That I will accept. So he took out his wallet and he began counting the big notes, you know, the big notes. And he counted a bit and I thought, oh, that's quite a bit. Maybe I should tell him to stop. But then I thought, no, I'll just let the Holy Spirit impress him what to give. So he counted and he kept going and he kept going. And he said, after a while, he said, well, I think maybe this is enough. And he handed it to me.
Wow.
And I thanked him so much. I told him we will use this money to help with this series of meetings with the people that need Bibles and things like that. And he was happy. He was, oh, wonderful, thank you. And we drove away.
Wow.
So I handed this money to my wife. I said, count it. You know, it was just the money needed for the books.
Praise God.
Right on the nose, just the money needed for the books.
Wow.
So when I reached there on Sunday, I had the books and I had a story to tell.
Wow.
Yeah?
Yes.
I had the books and I had a story to tell.
I'm sure they were excited to
Oh,
receive
everybody was
books.
excited. Everybody was excited. The people were excited and the students, you know, the seminary students, their faith was so much strengthened because they saw that, yes, God does answer prayer. He does. He hears us. He answers our prayers. Especially when you're working on the front lines where you are ministering to people's needs. When you are reaching out to them and you're spreading the good news of the gospel with them, God will work miracles.
For sure.
So, you know, when I think about Maxwell Adventist Academy, you know, our purpose is to save these young people. Our purpose is to help them to know the love of God, to find His purpose for them, for their life, you know, to get them to make a commitment to dedicate their life to Him in Christian service. That's what our purpose is all about. What could be more in harmony with God's will? You know, this is very much in harmony with God's will. So when I think about the future of Maxwell, I am not afraid. Why? Because I know God will provide. I've watched Him provide in the past in so many situations of life where you thought, there's no way forward. What are we going to do? How are we going to survive this? How are we going to make it forward? And then you see God work miraculous things to answer those prayers that His people offer. What do we have to fear?
Nothing at all.
Yeah. I love this quotation. It says, we have nothing to fear for the future except as we forget how the Lord has led us in the past and His teaching in our past history. So we do not want to forget how God has led. And when we share stories of how He's done miraculous things for us, you know, it really, I think it uplifts our faith again and it gives us courage to face the uncertain times we face. And certainly now, you know, this virus that we're all, you know, dealing with, the results of this pandemic, it does cause us to stop and think, oh my, what's happening to our world? Where are we going? How is this going to impact us? It raises lots of questions, but in all those questions, we have hope. And we have confidence because we know God will take care of His people and His cause, His work. And so long as we're in harmony with that and we're working together with Him, we have nothing to fear.
For sure.
Yeah.
What a wonderful testimony.
Yeah.
That's really uplifting to know that God has been there for you in the past. And
Absolutely.
therefore you are sure that He's going to be with you in the future.
Absolutely.
That was a wonderful testimony. Well, viewers, we thank you so much for your time. And before we close, I would like to read this verse in Isaiah chapter 41 and verse 10. And it says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. I hope this text will keep you encouraged, and the testimony shared today will keep you hopeful, knowing that God is going to see you through, even through this pandemic that we are going through. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Mr. Dunder.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure to be here with you and to share God's goodness.